Arizona's family. News at noon starts now.
But this should be a nonpartisan issue.
Matthew McConaughey speaking at the White House today after the mass shooting in his hometown of Uvalde, Texas, as lawmakers debate new gun reform legislation, plus what a former Arizona congresswoman who survived a mass shooting is saying needs to be done. Our weather is heating up and valley trails are shutting down. What you need to know ahead of these intense days of heat in our forecast. And more than $1 billion have been lost in cryptocurrency scams in the past year and a half. How you can watch out for fake digital investors. Just into our AZ Family newsroom first, the Arizona Department of Health Services confirming they've now identified the first probable monkeypox case in the state. The patient in his late 30s is currently in isolation and recovering. Initial testing returned a positive result, but more testing underway to confirm that case. And of course, we'll keep you posted with what we learn on that. Developing right now, a woman is in critical condition fighting for her life as police look for the hit-and-run driver who ran her down and didn't stop to help. It happened overnight around 4 a.m. here at 51st Avenue in Camelback. Police are looking for a dark-colored SUV seen leaving the area. A witness told detectives that driver stopped and turned on the hazard lights, but didn't bother to get out to try and help or call 911, instead simply driving off. Police just busted this couple from Casa Grande who were fighting in their car along the side of the road on yesterday morning. There they are. Officers wound up finding 3,000 fentanyl pills and some cocaine in their car. A canine sniffed out the stash, and officers arrested Hunter Bechtel and Jordan Ramirez for possession and transportation of narcotics. And new at noon, Chandler police say they finally arrested the man who sparked a manhunt and neighborhood lockdown after a police shooting last week. This is 27-year-old Raymond Harding. Detectives say officers shot at him when he went into a Little Caesars at Arizona Avenue in Chandler with a gun. He wasn't hit and ran away. Here you could see him caught on some homeowners' ring cameras jumping fences to hide from police. No one else was hurt. New details right now at noon on that deadly quadruple shooting at a nightclub in Mesa early Sunday morning. Police have now identified the two men who were shot and killed. Police say 23-year-old Willie Love of Maricopa and 25-year-old Curtis West Jr. of Phoenix died after they reportedly got in a fight with another group that started shooting, also hitting two of their friends. Detectives arrested another man and the female getaway driver for unlawful flight and an outstanding felony warrant.
What are you doing?
I gotta go for a swim. I'm free to go, right? You can't swim in the lake, man. I'm free to go, right?
You're not allowed to swim in the lake.
Well, we are getting new details on that man who drowned in Tempe Town Lake. He had a warrant and ignored police telling him not to go into the water, then called out for help and died. Police say they are not trained to handle water rescues in full gear and do not have the equipment to do so. And now we're hearing for the first time from that man's friends. They say Sean Bicking was well known, advocating for homeless community after living on the street himself and working to turn his life around. His friend Ben Jeffrey says that interaction with police shines a light on a much bigger issue.
We struggle with the fact that it was a very difficult situation for law enforcement. And it's even a more difficult situation for people that love him and love her, to see her struggling and crying out in very eloquent terms, save him. And the simple fact remains that there was nothing to save him with.
The Tempe Officers Association says their officers are trained to call the fire department to get the Tempe police boat, which is what those officers did. And right now, those officers are on admin leave pending an internal review of their actions. Meanwhile, the city of Tempe and Scottsdale police are reviewing their water response protocol and access to rescue equipment in and around the lake. Well, we're heading into some really hot temps here, with 9 Arizona counties dealing with an excessive heat watch. And that means some of our most popular valley hiking trails will likely be shut down as a safety precaution. If these get upgraded to excessive heat warnings, Camelback Mountains, Echo, and Cholla trails, along with Payestoa Peak, will be shut down from 11 to 5 every day. And a heads up, if you have pets, you are not allowed to bring them on any city trail in Phoenix any day that we hit 100 or warmer, which, Ian, is for the foreseeable future,
Oh,
right?
Yes. And I think even 90s for most dogs.
It's not kind.
No,
I mean,
not kind, and that's too hot. So, I mean, I try to do 70s and just be as fast as I can and get as early as I can with the dogs, because you wouldn't walk around in Central Phoenix in a coat at 98 degrees, would you?
Or barefoot on the pavement.
Or barefoot on the pavement, yes.
Yeah.
That's where we're standing right now, 98 degrees out there. Dew points are in the 40s. The wind is calm, and we're going to crank up the heat today. We already have some hundreds on the board. Gilbert, Chandler, Laveen, Queen Creek, Avondale, Maryvale, Peoria at 102, and we're going to keep going. We still have 3 or 4 hours of heating to go. 95 in Globe, 79 in Flagstaff, 87 in Prescott. There's your heat watches, which will turn into warnings, meaning extreme and potentially dangerous and deadly heat is heading our way. No rain in the valley for the foreseeable future. We're going to be pretty dry. June is our driest month, but a really powerful ridge of high pressure is setting up overhead in some parts of Texas. It was 114 yesterday, and that's kind of the origin of this expanding high pressure. So we're going with 107 later on today. Yesterday we hit 105, so that is going to be up, and even more heat on the way. We'll take a look at your First Alert 7-day forecast coming up in a second.
Record high gas prices have a lot of drivers ditching the gas guzzlers to buy a more fuel-efficient car. And as more people make the switch over to electric, there's a greater need for more charging stations to keep them running. Kylie Cruz shows us what ADOT is doing to make it easier to charge your ride.
Some Arizona drivers are spending $100 or more to fill up their tank right now. Charging an electric vehicle is much cheaper, but finding a charging station can be difficult, especially if you're in a very rural and remote part of the state. MVD tells me that more than 40,000 electric vehicles are registered here in Arizona. But according to Electric, Arizona has just shy of 2,000 chargers. That's why ADOT has plans to add charging stations along the 10, the 40, the 17, the 8, and the 19 down in southern Arizona. So ADOT is working on all of the details right now. The plan due to the Federal Highway Administration by August 1st. If it gets approved, Arizona will receive more than $76 million over a 5-year period to set up all of these charging stations. It's all part of the bipartisan infrastructure bill that was passed late last year. We talked to Doug Nick with ADOT about when we could see these chargers and where.
This is a 5-year program, so we would start to see things as soon as possible. We already have some potential locations already planned at places like grocery store parking lots, some motel parking lots, even some mall parking lots that might work out as good locations.
ADOT doesn't know exactly how many chargers would be installed across Arizona. They tell me the federal standard is every 50 miles, even in remote and rural areas. We'll keep you posted on the progress. For now, reporting here in Phoenix, I'm Kylie Cruz for Arizona's Family.
Kylie, thank you. Happening today, the bishops of the Arizona Catholic Conference are organizing a vigil for the death row inmate set to be executed tomorrow. Frank Atwood was convicted of the 1984 murder of an 8-year-old girl who was kidnapped down in Tucson. A federal judge denied the plea to delay his execution. This will be the second in as many months after they were put on hold for 8 years in Arizona. Tonight's vigil is at 6 o'clock at St. Mary's Roman Catholic Basilica in Phoenix near 7th Street in Van Buren. It is a busy week for lawmakers in Arizona as well as at our nation's capital. Today, the city of Tucson is expected to vote on a resolution to uphold a woman's right to an abortion, even if state law prohibits it. And it comes after that leaked draft opinion to overturn Roe v. Wade that would shift abortion access to the states. The resolution down in Tucson carries no legal weight. It would simply let the police chief revise his department's general orders to not arrest anyone who helps another get an abortion in any way. Police could refer cases back to the state or county attorney. If the resolution passes the Tucson City Council today, it will take effect immediately. We're expecting an official ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court later this month.
Stopping gun violence takes courage. Now is the time to come together, be responsible. Democrats, Republicans, everyone.
Former Arizona Congresswoman Gabby Giffords at the nation's capital today advocating for gun reform as the Senate GOP conference is meeting right now to debate new legislation. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the Senate will vote on gun safety legislation soon. There is still a strong divide between Democratic and Republican lawmakers. Starting tomorrow, Congress will hold public hearings examining recent gun massacres in America. One set to testify, an 11-year-old survivor of the Uvalde, Texas school shooting. The fourth grader smeared herself with blood playing dead to stay alive during last month's shooting. She'll be part of a panel testifying before the House Oversight and Reform Committee. 8 other witnesses will also take the stand about the mass killings at Robb Elementary and that supermarket in Buffalo, New York. New details today as Washington prepares for a Thursday night hearing for a deadly siege on the U.S. Capitol. Members of the far-right group Proud Boys are charged with sedition for their role in what played out on January 6th. 5 members of the Proud Boys have been indicted, facing the most serious criminal charges yet: seditious conspiracy. They previously pleaded not guilty to lesser conspiracy charges. The House Select Committee investigating January 6th is now focused on the court of public opinion and will lay out what it's found after a year-long investigation. You'll be able to watch those hearings live this Thursday night on our sister station, CBS 5. Crypto scams have stolen more than $1 billion from investors in just the last year and a half. The red flags to watch for. Live look at Wall Street. Stocks rose triple digits today, even after Target and Walmart stocks slipped with news of lower than expected quarterly earnings, not being able to sell off their overstocks. The Dow is up 160 points. Well, investors have lost more than $1 billion in cryptocurrency scams in the past year and a half. There are so many fake experts out there promising to help you invest to make more faster. On your side, Susan Campbell shows us what to watch out for on social media.
Scroll through social media, you may come across posts promising a payday. All you have to do is invest cryptocurrency with a business coach or influencer.
The idea of the get-rich-quick scheme is not a new one, and yet we continue to fall for it.
A new analysis by the Federal Trade Commission shows 46,000 people have reported losing more than $1 billion in crypto scams since the start of 2021. The agency says cryptocurrency is attractive to scammers because there's no bank to flag suspicious transactions, transfers can't be reversed, and people are still unfamiliar with how cryptocurrency works.
Most people don't understand it, understandably, and the other 50% dabble.
Jake Gutman is the CEO of Rosevest Financial. He says there are lots of legitimate coaches out there, and there are legitimate ways to invest in cryptocurrency, but it will take some work.
It really comes down to doing your research, trusting your gut, vetting them for competency, finding referrals or reviews, evaluating those, and then taking baby steps.
Feel the heat.
Oh, my.
Crank it up.
It's on the way, baby. It's June, and we really kick it into high gear. We're already at 100 in some locations. Chandler at 100, Glendale 105, although I think that reading is running a little hot, but you guys are in the upper 90s and low 100s. And then we are at 98 degrees at Sky Harbor. Around the state, 95 in Globe, 101 in Casa Grande, 101 in Gila Bend, and 100 in Bullhead City. We're going to land around 107 later on today. That's 5 degrees above normal, and then around 102 at 7 p.m. Above normal temperatures. If your kids are going to be cooling off at the pool or the neighbors, whatever, make sure you have a designated water watcher, and that's a person whose sole responsibility is to just keep an eye on the kids. It sounds silly, but it's like the DD of the pool. They got one job, and make sure the kids stay out of the water if they're not supposed to be there. As far as our heat warnings go, their watches are going to be warnings, but this is the area where we're going to see really intense heat. Even Payson, you guys are going to get to about 100 degrees by the end of the week, and it's all because of this really expansive ridge of high pressure that's going to actually just expand and strengthen as we get closer to the weekend. So by Saturday, this thing is going to be squarely over us, and it is going to start to kick those temperatures up. Now, you saw a couple of blips here on the Futurecast concerning a chance for some storms in the mountains. That's not the story. If we see any rain by the weekend, it's going to be really high-based thunderstorms that don't produce a lot of rain. The real story is going to be the intense heat. And you're thinking, well, Ian, what are you getting all worked up about because of heat in June? It's Phoenix, duh. Well, we have hundreds of people who die in the state every single year because of the heat. I call it our slow-motion natural disaster. Here's some of the data concerning that. The majority of them are men. 75% of the deaths we see each summer because of the heat are men. Most of them are the ones we know they're residents. They have been here 20 years, so it's not like people just moved here and didn't know. They have been around a while, and they still get caught up in the heat. And that 45 to 75 age group, they make up the bulk of the fatalities when it comes to our heat deaths, unfortunately, each year. So today is going to be really hot, 107. This is your first alert 7-day forecast. And then we're going to put that first alert warning on each day when we get into that high heat, especially as we get going into Friday and Saturday. 112 Friday, 113 Saturday. You got to be extra cautious out there.
It's brutal. Ian, thank you. And as we head to break, here's a quick check of your community calendar. Welcome back. A heads up, if you're looking for a job, there are several job fairs today and this week. Sky Harbor Airport's hiring, recruiting now with a job fair all day today. Runs till 4 p.m. out at the Phoenix SkyTrain Station, 44th Street in Washington. They're looking to fill hundreds of jobs from customer service to driver, sales, and security. Just a heads up, you will need a mask. If you are a nurse or hospital worker, Abrazo is hiring. They're hosting a social hour later today, 4 to 7 at the Craftsman Cocktails and Kitchen in Scottsdale. That's out at Hayden and Thompson Peak Parkway. And keep it here for one last look at your forecast. The drone was out this morning up in Cave Creek. It's almost 12:30 on your Tuesday. Enjoy the shot. Don't try to go out on a hike at any time this afternoon.
What's the max operating temperature of the drone?
Ooh.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah, it's like alert, alert, approaching now.
Sounds like a helicopter going down or something. Today's going to be pretty toasty. We're talking 107, and then we get to that 110 threshold. This is when hospitals start to see more folks coming in for heat-related illness, and in the worst-case scenario, people succumbing to the heat. 110 for today, tomorrow, 112 for Friday, 113 on Saturday, 112 on Sunday, 109 on Sunday. It looks like this heat wave will break next week. We're keeping an eye on that, and we will, of course, let you know. But check on your neighbors, especially the elderly, and watch the young kids younger than 4. These are the two groups most susceptible to heat-related illness.
Would you call it a slow death? Earlier, the heat?
Oh, no, a slow motion disaster.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I was like, also that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the heat is so dangerous out there. So make sure you check on everyone, that they're doing okay. And we'll see you back here with more local news at 4 on.
azfamily.com